Think of the people you interact with every day. Would you want to spend a day in a canoe with them? Hi, I'm Nathan Mercero, CEO of Planning Alternatives. We're a disruptive brand in the financial planning space with a point of view that true wealth has nothing to do with money. Growing up in a small town in Canada, I experienced examples of families with money and without. It started me on this journey of understanding wealth and the idea that spending a day in a canoe with someone could be one of the best investments you could make. Join me as I sit down with leaders, entrepreneurs, creatives, rule breakers, and friends to discover their perspective of true wealth. And maybe you'll start to shift yours. Well, I'm excited today to be joined by David Steigelfest. David is a serial entrepreneur and executive with over 25 years of experience building, scaling, exiting companies in tech, media, healthcare. David, welcome to Day in a Canoe. I know you've been working on some significant projects. What's going on in your world right now? And then we'll kind of take a step back and look at some of the highlights of your career as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. First of all, thanks for having me. I love the whole format of this discussion. So I really look forward to it. Right now, I am working on a new business. I'm a solopreneur. All through my career, I have built companies with significant money raises and seed through exiting through a public offering with my last company. And all along, obviously, that is a conventional and interesting ride. But being a solopreneur is also has been tremendously interesting and educational. I don't believe, at least my brand of what I'm doing, because I'm building software, would even have been possible more than 6 months ago. I'm using AI. I'm the engineer. I'm the solopreneur. I'm doing it all. The application is called PB Heart. It's related to pickleball. It is a facilities, municipalities, and individual event management application. And it's a lot of fun. I happen to be an enthusiast of the sport, as ridiculous as it sometimes sounds. But I do enjoy, and I'm really enjoying the learning process. I have a brother who's involved in IT. He's a CTO. He called me a full stack engineer the other day, and I thought that was kind of funny. I had to remind him that I'm a lawyer, but in today's world, with the tooling that's available, even lawyers can be full stack engineers.
So I'm hearing you frame that what would have been a very more complex business build out platform, fundraising, seed money, R&D, et cetera, you're now able to do because of AI?
100%. I have lived in the product world almost my entire career, which goes back to, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. Like, I left my law job in 1997 and was surfing the first web wave, and involved in tech and web development in various forms since then. And never, I'll rephrase that. I've always sat on the direct communication pipeline to the engineering side, either as a business analyst, as a project manager, as a program owner, as a product owner, and the translation of requirements on the business side into technical speak. And obviously, over the years, the methodologies have changed. Some of it just buzzwordy stuff, but in truth, that translation was always where I lived, and I like to think I was good at it. And even when I became an entrepreneur, these were tech heavy businesses where that translation of business requirement into an implementable piece of software or software product was always sort of where I live. And I have found in the past 6 months that I'm able to take that knowledge, that ability to translate those requirements, and in this case, the requirements also generate with me as a solopreneur, and execute on them. And what I mean by that is build the systems, deploy them, the whole soup to nuts, from defining the specifications that need to be built, to defining the overall design and architecture, both on the usability side, user experience side, and on the technology side, front to back in terms of the data relationships and so on, and implement all of it. In fact, PB Heart is live today, and it hasn't really been publicized yet, but it's live, and I'm very proud of it. It is a fully functional platform that I have built from scratch by myself, and that is not something that I ever thought I would be capable of doing. So it's really exciting. It's in a really exciting time.
So with artificial intelligence evolving so rapidly, what's your prediction for even 6 months down the road from today, or if we can even imagine 6 years out?
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time doing exactly what you just asked, which is pondering the meaning of it all. I can't help myself from doing that. And if I look at what the past 6 months is, what I started in February, when I really started to like see if I could do something on my own, like started off as experiments, and to what I'm doing now and how I'm doing it, and just the change that has occurred in 6 months, to extrapolate that out. And that's not enough to extrapolate it out, right? That to me, that's not how it works. It's never how it's worked with sort of prognosticating future tech developments. It's not linear. But if you just did that, then I don't know whether we should all be exhilarated or terrified, because if you do that alone, then it brings you to a place where the capabilities that I'm describing become more and more automated, more and more simple. Um, as an example of sort of that extrapolation, when I first began and when I first wanted to do a deploy on the software I had built, I worked with engineering teams even back my days with Deutsche Bank when it was monolithic. We had a team of DBAs and a team devoted to quality assurance, teams of designers, front end designers, and teams of senior software developers and back end specializations. And I mean, just everyone was in their specialized unit to which it all came together. And of course, the communication of requirements was incredibly painful, right? It was a whisper down the lane of, okay, did he understand? Did he get it? Right. So, but the condensation of all of that into one human, and one set of, and it was not really one set of tools, but an aggregation of tools. What I was doing in February, there are steps that I took that would take me a week that now take me an hour, right? That's the sort of line that I'm on. So when I talk about, oh, well, what would I be able to do in an hour? Or just be able to do a week? In the next 6 months, it's hard to imagine. It really, I know that, smarter people than me are doing a good job with that sort of projection. All I can say is if it continues on the same pace, and there's no reason to think it won't, then I think not just IT departments, let's just focus on technology and software development. The change that's already, we can't keep up. Like I've heard the anecdotes coming from small and large organizations. There is no such thing as a methodology that you can apply. It's changing too fast. And therefore anyone who claims to have one, in my opinion, is fibbing. But the acceleration of that, I think those that are really smart, and there are plenty of people who are going to benefit tremendously. I think those with large tech operations, those who can do so much more with less, are going to benefit tremendously. But it's hard. I look through the crystal ball, and it's hard not to worry about the impact that it will have on society as a whole. That's just my frank opinions.
So let's explore that for a minute. If we were to sprinkle pixie dust, it's 5 years out. What are some things that I guess concern you that this direction may lead us into society-wise, individual-wise? How will you frame it?
Yeah, the last thing I want to be is a doomsayer, because I'm generally not, and I'm on the cutting edge of, I think, using a lot of these tools. I would call myself more of an evangelist than a doomsayer, but given the quality or the substance of your question, I do not believe that this is an industrial revolution that will just change the complexion, the types of jobs that will become available. I am much more concerned about it eliminating jobs and what the aftermath of that shift looks like. And it's not just about robotics, and it's not just about AI. I think your ability to learn I'm long in the tooth at this age, long past my, days of university, uh, and I'll be bold in saying it. I don't, my kids have grown up recent, college grads. And I think that experience was great for both of them. I'm not sure if that conventional type of learning is going to be useful in as short a period of time as 5 years. If you want to learn something, it is available. I mean, it's been very recently, the latest products in AI is, teaching mode, right? Kind of teach me something. And, if you really want to learn something, you can. Now, there's so much more to college, obviously, than just learning, as I know from um, my days at the bars at Syracuse. But change is coming, and it's going to be pretty dramatic. And in 5 years' time, I don't think you're going to have conventional university degrees. I think that the labor market is going to change dramatically. I think those that are light on their feet and willing and able to learn these skills will have the teaching methods at their fingertips to do so. Um, and that we need as a society to start looking at things like universal basic income and what to do about folks with some time on their hands. That's what I believe.
There's a mindset shift that's required oftentimes in life stages and also culturally, and we're going through a massive one as it relates to the use of artificial intelligence. It sounds like the faster people adapt and deploy the tool, the faster they're going to learn. On our side of the business, we talk a lot about true wealth and what's the purpose of all this and what's a fulfilling life look like. One of the things that concerns me is while the adoption of technology and the use of AI is such a powerful tool, it can also create isolation. Like it creates this aloneness or individuality. While it may be interesting and intriguing and it's great to develop your skill set as a person, if we're now separated from one another, it really puts stress on the humanity needs that we have.
Right.
And really one of the key currencies we talk about in the true wealth journey is connectivity, connecting to one another. And that could be, in a family, it could be in a work environment, it could be in a lot of different fashions.
Right.
What's your take on that thought?
I think it is a very well timed, apropos prompt for me personally, and so I thank you for it. I've gone through some personal changes very recently, and Solopreneur fit and the capabilities and the skill set that I discussed earlier and acquiring it has given me this capability to run alone. But as you say, running alone is got some negative, some downside to it in the sense that we're social beings. We require connection. And yes, just because I can do everything and I can't. Let's be honest. I'll be frank. There's a lot I can do, but I can't do it all on my own. I was just reminded by a very good friend and mentor of mine in talking about the business and how I built this great product. And he's like, "Well, you don't have a business, eh? You haven't sold it." I'm like, "Well, selling is going to require me to speak with humans." And he's like, "Yes, it's time for you to come out of your cave and re-engage." And he, were lighthearted about it and saying, he's like, that used to be one of the things you were really good at, David. What's happened? And I said, well, I've been living in my cave, being a solopreneur, building something for 5 or 6 months. Now, I wasn't just building; I was acquiring this skill, and I was very passionate about it, and I enjoyed it, and that's great. But what you strike is what you've mentioned is extraordinarily important because it's not enough. It's not enough in that you won't be successful in a business unless you're one of those folks who is building the automated trading app that's going to trade online for you and make you $1 million, right? The all the hype stuff that it really isn't. Just like any other business, you need allies, you need to confirm your requirements, you need to test out in a real world, you got to get customers on board. All of those things require, in my case, it's facilities, it's municipalities, it's facing off with the people who actually are on the ground running events and making sure that their courts are running and the operations level is running, and there's no substitute for it. And so I think that just like technology created the YouTuber, the influencer who's deep in their basement, they're communicating with a large following, supposedly, or not, or gaming. That was another single industry. That's an industry I come from, where that sort of accusation or that label has fit. I think it's getting more and more powerful. The plausibility of that isolation has become more powerful. And just like everything else in line, what are we going to do on a societal basis about AI and job replacement? What are we going to do about the future of education? What are we going to do about potentially, those who become technologically isolated? I think there's a lot of discussions we should be having on a societal level that we're not, and we're too busy fighting weird cultural wars. That's another battle.
I think the opportunity is around the theme of impact, because here we are realizing this new beginning of a technological tool and age. There's, opening up doors for innovation. I think back to the Henry Ford quote around innovation. He said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they'd say faster horses, when he was trying to get them to conceptualize that there's another alternative, a vehicle. And so here we are at another moment in time where there is another alternative that's emerging. How do we take our AI resources with who we are as individuals, and how have you taken that to say, how can I create impact? How do you answer that question?
It's something I think about all the time. And just as we said, the extrapolation method doesn't work, just like your Henry Ford analogy. The extrapolation would be faster horses. The automobile was something else. And trying to anticipate impact when things are changing so rapidly that it's tough to choose a jumping off point because it runs by you. And so you do need to think ahead. But when you're in that inflection point, that hockey sticking mode, right, which we're so clearly are, whether or not it's going to lead to some singularity or whatever you want to call it, it's hockey sticking. It's gone vertical, and it's, and it was inevitable, right? Moore's law and everything else was leading to it. And we were probably on that train, 10 years ago, because I'm not sure that the curve was unpredictable then. But in any case, figuring out how to impact the world that's changing that fast. One of the, silly business metaphors that we used to use, what I used to use is, we need to change tires on a moving car, right? Among the many, cliches that you find in the boardroom. And I do think that that's what is required. And it's more like, changing the fuel cell on, a speeding rocket ship. How do you do that? Back in the day, it used to be, we will run our two programs in parallel, and we will have the strategic path and we'll have the operational path. And at some point we'll make a cutover, which of course never happened, but where it happened years later, because it was complicated and it was really hard. I don't think that you can run, and nor would you even want to. It's not a viable methodology to try to run parallel paths. We're going to continue. You can't continue on the way you're doing. You got to have a jumping off point. If I knew the answer to that, then I would be hungry. I probably wouldn't be building a pickleball app.
Well, David, I want to commend you for diving into an area to really develop a tool that hasn't been evolved yet. So I think it's remarkable how you've had the self-awareness to use this AI basis to do that. And I want to thank you for stopping by to share your story. It's been a short but impactful conversation. I really appreciate you sharing your perspective.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I look forward to seeing more of your podcast.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review. To discover what wealth means to you, please take our assessment at planningalt.com.